Let's look at video games in 2022. So I'm not going to go over any ports. This is all new games. Nobody Saves the World is coming out on the 18th of January. Actually kind of interested in that. That is Drinkboxes. The people that did Guacamelee. It's there for... Oh my god, I just showered and now my hair is deciding to not listen to me. Nobody Saves the World. Yeah, from the people that did Guacamelee and Guacamelee 2. Don't know where people are falling on this one. If you're a Guacamelee fan, if you're looking for a cool indie game. Guacamelee. It's about a luchador, right? That's what the Latin, is it just Mexican, wrestlers, right? Called a luchador? Yeah, luchador. It's about a luchador. Very popular games on the PlayStation. This one coming to Xbox and... it's actually Xbox exclusive. And it is also coming to Game Pass on the 18th. So that's Nobody Saves the World. I actually don't know what it's about, but their pedigree is so high. I think this could be really one of the really good indie darlings that we see. The next game to come out is on January 20th. We have Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Extraction. I think Slater might be excited for this, right? This is the Siege spin-off. It's, I guess, zombie monsters, infected... But I don't know if they're aliens. No, it's an infection, right? Yeah. And it's it's PvP versus PvE, 3-player, and it features the same characters as Siege. It looks like GTFO if you ever played so that. Some people might have seen him play GTFO. I played GTFO at fucking PAX East one year, I think 2018 maybe, 2017. It was okay. It was really clanky then, though. I don't know if they improved on that game, if it was clean or whatever at launch, but it was janky when I played it at PAX. Yeah, so we'll see about Rainbow Six Extraction. Personally, I do not have any interest in it. I also think, based on how Siege performed when that game launched, granted that was 7 years ago at this point, right? So you got to think that they're building on the Siege of today, but I also think even if it is a spin-off and a build off of Siege, this game is just not going to hit. I think it's very smart though to be doing it now. I think to do this kind of game now when there's a lot of games coming out in end of January, and all of February, but I feel people who like Siege, a lot of people are just shooter players, right? I meet these people all the time who are I play video games. I'm like, cool, what do you play? And they're shooters. That's it. Yeah, I guess so, yeah. Yeah, I haven't really looked into it too much regarding the COD Zombies. And it is on Game Pass. It's another game coming to Game Pass, so... you don't have to be charged, which is a huge incentive to check it out. Okay, and then Windjammers 2 is actually coming out that day. Very excited for this. This is from the people that made the Streets of Rage reboot, Streets of Rage 4 that came out in 2020. Very good. Loved it. Pokemon Legends Arceus. Yes, let's talk about Pokemon. Someone else brought it up in the chat, they're curious as to how Pokemon's going to do, how Arceus is going to be. I'm optimistic. I do not think it is going to hit the way that Breath of the Wild hits. I don't even think it's going to come close to that, honestly. We're not going to be talking about this as... I don't even think we're going to be talking about this as, the best Pokemon game ever. I do not think it's in those conversations. I do think, though, that it will lay a solid foundation. Meaning that in 2 iterations' time, we are looking at it from that lens. And we are considering it, cool. I think that's how it's going to go. I also could completely seeing Pokemon Legends Arceus actually nailing it and knocking out the park and cool, this is everything that we wanted. I could see some kind of reality where that happens. I do think, though, it is more likely out between that high reality that it is a low reality of people being this idea is phoned in, or is just really, really underbaked. I can see that as well, but I think it's going to land somewhere in the middle of that. I think that's your best bet with this one. Okay, yeah, Dying Light 2 Stay Human. 500 hours of zombie slashing running fun. I think it's a shame Dying Light is coming out in this month, because out of everything that's coming out in February, which is a lot of games, it's low on my list, right? We have Horizon Forbidden West, we have Sifu, we have the Destiny 2 expansion, we have Elden Ring at the end of the month. Dying Light 2 is my least desired game in February out of 6 games. So I feel like if it was in another month, maybe if it had launched in January, maybe they should have hit the January 4th, I think it was January 4th anniversary of Dying Light, something like that. Dying Light was like the original, was one of the first big games to come out in January. That prior to Dying Light, it was thought that January was a month where you didn't release a game because everyone's bought their December games. Everyone's got their shit for the holidays, right? No one's going to buy a game in January. And Dying Light was the game that came out, and it was the only new game for months, it felt like. So I played so much Dying Light. And it was the first game to prove that you could move outside of like a summer window and a Christmas window, right? Like September, let's be generous. September, maybe May through November, as like those are the months you release a video game. And when it did that, and publishers saw, oh fuck, you can make money outside of fucking May to November, and everyone is just releasing games all the time. So I am excited about the game. I really liked the presentation of the game at E3 when we saw it. It was actually one of my favorite games I saw. I think it was 2019 E3. But we have since learned that the game has had some huge development issues. We've since learned that a lot of that demo was very much like faked, kind of in a way where the Cyberpunk ones were faked, right? Like not just someone capturing raw gameplay, like heavily directed, which makes sense to a degree, but, to a deceptive degree, I would say. So I don't know. I don't know if the final product is going to be what I saw. I don't have faith in that. So I just kind of wish it was coming out in a different month. I think it's going to be suicide for this game. Yeah, not suicide. I think it will sell well. It will not make waves. There's no way this game is making waves like Dying Light 1 did. Absolutely not. Sifu coming out on the 8th. This is the follow-up to the team that did Absolver, which was an interesting martial arts game. Came out 2016, 2017, I think. A lot of cool ideas, a lot of underbaked ideas, I feel. I found it really hard to kind of get into it, and it was clear playing Absolver that there's a really cool... Exactly, Wolfslaw. I wish I got deeper, because I saw there's a really cool martial arts mechanic in combat in this game. It just feels like you had to master the system in order for that, and I just didn't have the energy or motivation, I feel, to do that. I think Sifu is going to give that motivation. One of the cool things, if you've read any of the previews, is that every time you die, your character gets older, and then you have to restart once you hit a certain age. I think that's a really interesting mechanic, and I think that they're going to make the combat more accessible. I think they learned their lesson from Absolver. I think they're going to make it more compatible with more casual players, and so I think they're gonna have a really big game on their hands. What's the PS5 game with cool looking magic? I think you're thinking of Forspoken, which comes out in August. I forget when it comes out. It's definitely on this list, and I have mixed feelings on Forspoken now, but I think it could be really cool. Crossfire X comes out on February 10th. Is this the Remedy single player? Yeah, I'm not interested in it, and I love Remedy. They're making this single player campaign for this multiplayer game, Crossfire X. I just want everyone to know I have zero interest in military, traditional military shooters anymore. I am just so done with a lot of first-person shooters from just, I can't play another Call of Duty again. It's funny because we were talking, I was like, should I jump into Warzone? It's just kind of nuts to me how into Warzone I am, and I have no motivation to play that game. Granted, maybe that's the Activision issues as well, the Activision of it all is just making me, but I'm just and then obviously I'm so into Halo, as we know. But yeah, I really, I'm looking at February and I'm like, I'm not even gonna go near Crossfire X. Total War Warhammer 3. I'm into the Total War games. I'm probably not gonna pick it up until it's like on sale or Epic gives it away for free. It's gonna be good, but it will event. It's just I got like the day after that for Horizon comes out, so I'm not about to start an RTS anytime soon. Like, again, when it's on heavily discounted in an Epic sale or it is free on Epic, which it will inevitably be within the next year. All right, take this to the bank. Total War Warhammer 3 will be in a Epic Game Store sale or free via the Epic Game Store within the next calendar year. All right, until January 9th, 2023. If it's not, well, we'll figure out my punishment. So there you go. Okay, next game. Yeah, Horizon Forbidden West. Very excited for this. We're going to play some Horizon Zero Dawn later in the stream. Because I just kind of want to refamiliarize myself with how the game looked and felt, because I have very, very mixed feelings on Horizon Forbidden West. On Horizon Zero Dawn. It was a game that I really slogged through, and I kind of just sped run the end of it. And I was very hyped for it. I was actually going into it, right, because they released like the same day or the same week as the original Breath of the Wild. I was actually more hyped for Zero Dawn at the time. And then I played both of them, and I was like, oh my god. Breath of the Wild is like one of the greatest games ever made. Destiny 2, The Witch Queen. If Deuce Sydney is in the chat, obviously, Deuce Sydney very excited about Destiny 2, The Witch Queen. I might check it out, obviously, if you listen to the podcast. You will remember my kind of brief love affairs. Me and Destiny 2, we're like, someone that you see from time to time. When you see them, it's magical, and then they move away, and then they'll be back in town for a few days. Like that is my relationship to Destiny 2. And so here we are on the eve coming up, The Witch Queen. It seems to be a big expansion. Seems like it's going to be cool. So I'm sure I will spend maybe a day checking it out. But there's just so many other games around it, like Elden Ring coming out February 25th. Very excited for Elden Ring. We did play it here on stream. I have a lot of tutorials up already thanks to the test that they did, the network test. You can go check those out at youtube.com/unranked podcast. And I have a lot of gameplay. I think I have like six hours of gameplay uploaded. This is going to be the one that is beating out everything else in February. It's probably like, sorry, Horizon Forbidden West, but I do feel like if I don't beat you before the 25th of February, right? If I don't beat you in the week between you releasing an Elden Ring, like, I'm sorry. I might not finish you for a while. So fingers crossed I either get to play it early or I can beat it in that week. But obviously, very hyped for Elden Ring. Very, very excited. Next game coming out, there's that Babylon's Fall game. I'm not interested in it, so I'm going to skip it. I'm not interested in Gran Turismo 7. Maybe drop a shout out in the chat. Let me know if you are excited for either of those games. I am excited for Triangle Strategy, the follow-up from the HD 2D follow-up to Octopath Traveler. This time, this is a tactics game. It's a different world. It's like Final Fantasy, right? Like, it's not the same... it's not the same characters. It's not a sequel. It is a different world, but it's in the same art style. Yes, that is just the title now. Just like Octopath Traveler was Project Octopath Traveler and then became Octopath Traveler, this is Project Triangle Strategy, and it is just called Triangle Strategy in this one. Yeah, it was a working title. Both it and Octopath Traveler were working titles, Good game. Love Octopath. This is a game that I really do want to play. I feel like I'm going to still be, from 20th of February to the 4th of March, I'm still going to be knee-deep in Elden Ring. But this is the first game that is going to be kind of reminding me, hey, I exist. I'm not super stoked about this Tunic game. I have played it since the very first E3 I went to, which was 5 years ago. And even at the time, it felt like a very reductive take on like a 2D Zelda, not a 2D Zelda, like a top-down Zelda. So we'll see. I haven't really engaged with it. It just every year is like it's coming out. I hope success for them because I know it's like one dude, making this. So good luck to him. Really hope this does well. This might even be, I don't know if they've said that if there's going to be a Game Pass game on night, but it might be. I don't know. And then 2 weeks, a couple of days after Tunic, Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin is coming out. Played the demo for this. This is the Souls-like in the most reductive terms. Souls-like Final Fantasy game. It's also, I think, talking about like the origins of the multiverse of Final Fantasy or something. So I know people are very interested in it. Lots of mixed reactions. I know people liked the demo. I don't think people really liked the trailers that they've put out for it. I don't know. I might. Again, it all depends. Like, do I get a code? If I do, I might check it out. I'm probably not gonna buy this myself. And speaking of games that I might not buy, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, March 25th. I just feel like between all the stuff, like March to me, I kind of want to treat like a spillover month for February, right? I'm still probably going to be playing a lot of Elden Ring. I don't know. Maybe if I'm really into Elden Ring, I'll beat the story and but how much am I going to want to do all the exploring and checking the open world? I don't know. But I would just like the month to play Elden Ring and then probably finish up Horizon Forbidden West if I can. And, if I'm playing anything, it is probably going to be triangle strategy. So I just think Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, for me personally, I might not get around to it. Also depends on if the guys want to play it, if the guy. But again, like Borderlands 3, like we played that for like 2 weeks. And like a good 2 weeks of playing Borderlands 3 when it came out. And then just kind of like fell off a cliff for us. In April 8th, Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp. Haven't really played Advance Wars, but obviously there's a lot of love for that franchise. And I have, I think played it on a friend's GBA way back in the day when those games came out or something like that. So I am actually very excited for this. And hopefully, again, if I feel like I can play other games, if I have the time for it, maybe I'll check it out. I would like to check it out, but I'm not guaranteeing anything. I think it'll be good. Stalker 2 coming out April 28th. I know Slade is excited for this. I never played the original. Honestly, all of the stuff around the NFTs and then previous things that the creator has said. And it's also, again, it just gives me big Metro Exodus vibes. Now, this is a game and a series, and I think if Mike is here still, DCEO Silva, huge Metro. I don't know if you played Exodus, Mike, but I know you were really into at least the first one, and I think the second one when it came out. But I never really got your take on the old Exodus. I don't know if you played that one. I'm assuming you did, though. And I'm assuming you liked it because people liked Exodus. But it's just kind of this thing where it's like a post. I'm just like, I just feel like a lot of it. Feels very samey. And I feel like Stalker 2 is going to feel like that. Who knows, though? Oh, you haven't even played the second one. Interesting. Well, there you go. Vampire Masquerade Swan Song. I'm not a Vampire Masquerade person. Kudos to you. If you are. That was good, Mike. Forspoken, very excited about this because I think I've said it before. It is very much the people in chat, you can drop the Japanese term for this, where it's like someone from the modern day is dropped in like a alternate a different world or something. Isekai, I think, is maybe the name in Japan for that kind of story. Yeah. There you go, Sparks. Thank you. So it is that, right? It is this young black woman from Brooklyn, I'm pretty sure, dropped into a world like a Final Fantasy world, and they are a fish out of water. And I feel like that tether to them being what the fuck is going on is gonna really help sell the story. Whereas in previous Final Fantasies and a lot of JRPGs, I just feel like it's I'm not connecting with the story. And there's definitely exceptions to that rule, and I go back and forth on that. But in general, I would say that's how I feel about a lot of JRPGs. And I feel like this game will remedy that. Plus, it looks great. The magic and all of that looks great. I'm a little concerned that the one of the producers on the game was saying she's gonna have a very hip hoppy walk. don't really know what that means. Definitely not a good thing to say. And a lot of the writing team, all of the writing team, no one on the writing team is black, and you're writing dialogue for the actress who's playing the character, black woman, she did say that she had a lot of input on the story and the character, so hopefully that really shines through. But I remember when people were previewing it and saying stuff, I was like, ooh, I don't know, like, we'll see. But I am excited. I think the game is going to be good. There might just be a lot of controversy surrounding it. Speaking of controversy, Saints Row coming out August 23rd. Now, this to me is a controversial game for two reasons. Firstly, I feel like a lot of negative opinions on this game based on the reveal from last year. Personally, I actually thought the gameplay reveal looked really interesting and definitely like way more exciting to me than a continuation of the Saints Row franchise. But that being said, seems like opinion on this is pretty low at the moment. On top of that, again, I actually previewed this game. I saw it a week before it was announced at E3, or game show, the game Jeff Keighley's game extravaganza. I saw this, and again, had a Q&A with 6 middle-aged white dudes, and they are writing a game about a town in, the Southwest America, right? It's called Los Santos, I think. Obviously, a lot of Hispanic and Latin infusion. Plus, the characters are all young people of color, and I'm like, no one on this team can speak to any of that. Los Panteras is one of the gangs in the group, one of the like different, Los Panteras is not the name. Saint Eliso, I think, is the name. Saint Eliso is the name of the town. It was just kind of like, I don't know. Seems like it might be out of touch. Santo Eliso, thank you. 3rd time's a charm. I am excited to check it out. Let me put it that way. But obviously, this is all like I jumped from Forspoken in May to this in August. We don't have release dates for like anything else this year. Everything else is just like 2020, except for Starfield, November 11th. I think it's going to hit the date. And another Tom is going to do something stupid if he is wrong that we will come up with collectively, right? What was the first thing? That Total War Warhammer 3 will be on sale on the Epic Games Store by this time next year. Okay, by January 9th, 2023, it will either be on sale or free on the Epic Games Store. Someone write that down, okay? I know one of you motherfuckers will write it down, and January 9th, 2023, you're going to be like, Tom, do you remember? Do you remember last year on January 9th, 2020, when you said that the game, Total War Warhammer 3, will be on sale, and you were wrong? That's going to be you in a year's time. All right. So I do feel like Starfield. So here's what I'm saying. 2 things about Starfield. And again, someone write this down. 1, it will come out on November 11th. This game is not going to get delayed. I feel like there was a lot of rumors that this game was going to come out last year, 2021, or could have. Like, Bethesda could have put it out. But A, we're coming off of a ton of backlash from Fallout 76. And B, they had Halo in the fall. And that they just decided to punt Starfield to 2022 to really make sure that it is polished, to really make sure that it is good, and to really make sure that it comes out and isn't delayed, and also that they have a big game this November. Starfield will be a good game. I'm not going to say it will be great. I'm not going to say it will be Bethesda's best game. In fact, I think that there is a very low chance that anyone thinks like this is hitting Fallout 3, or I guess New Vegas doesn't count, or Fallout, or Skyrim, Oblivion, all those. And obviously Skyrim Skyrim have a complicated like relationship with Skyrim, I feel. But I do think Starfield will be good. Genuinely a good game. It will review well for the right reasons, and people will like it. Unless people have their expectations astronomically high, in which case I think they will be let down. But I think it will be at least good, and it will come out November 11th. Write it down. Here's what else is coming out in 2022 with no release date. Stuff I'm interested in. A quick rundown. A Plaguetail Requiem. I have not played Innocence, the first one. I am interested in these games. And I'm hoping that I can play 1 and 2 maybe back to back. I think that the first one's a short game, and hopefully 2 is as well. Dear God, let it be a short game. The Avatar Frontiers of Pandora game, coming out this year, supposedly. I don't think it will. Well, they might do if they want to release it in line with Avatar 2, which is meant to be coming out in December, which is nuts. So, there is a huge marketing reason to release that game in 2022. I think, based on its readiness, I do not think it will be. But I am kind of intrigued. I think the teaser that they put out for it looked great, and it was all in engine. So I'm excited to see what more of that game. Let's just put it that way. Bayonetta 3 coming out this year. Depending on when it comes out, I might check it out. But I'm not a diehard. I have to play Bayonetta. Cyberpunk 2077 is on this list, specifically the PS5 and Xbox Series X updates that are meant to be coming out in Q1. I played Cyberpunk on PC. I did start a save on my Xbox Series X because I got a code initially for Xbox Series X, and I played it for about an hour, and I was like, this looks like garbage. So I was like, I'm playing this on PC. So we'll see what the update brings, if people are going to be excited about that. Totally. 100% Mike. You are 100% correct. This game was Cyberpunk setting GTA. And if they had marketed it as such, I think... Oh, I don't even really know anything about that. I must have... Dude, they showed so much of this game off of over so many years that, I can't even, connect all of that together, you know what I mean? And obviously management, yes, mismanagement, obviously. But the thing is that in terms of, and like Mike says, bugs aside, right? So we're not, imagine this game ran really well and was pretty flawless. Even still, I think people would have had an issue, because they marketed it as The Witcher, The Witcher, an RPG on the level of The Witcher in a cyberpunk setting. And that's not what it is. It is Grand Theft Auto. And that's fine. And I had a lot of fun, actually, with the minute-to-minute gameplay. I think there's a really good game in there somewhere. But obviously the bugs were really bad, and there were different expectations for a lot of people. Yeah. Oh my god, the open world, the city itself is mind-boggling. It is really, when you were driving around and you see how tall these buildings are, and the design of it, it's not just the vertical, it's the horizontal, right? The bridges and the different going up the stairs, and there being walkways and stuff. The verticality of the city is so fucking impressive. So it makes me hope that there can be something, that there can be something redeemed, whether they make a second game, whether they do something else, or because they are dropping DLC for that. So hopefully the DLC is good. We'll see. Okay, next one. Dead Space Remake. Speaking of Dead Space Remake coming out Q4. We tried playing Dead Space on this stream, and it was the PC version, and it just did not run well for and then we went over to Xbox, but I was like, you know what, let's just wait for the remake. Okay, I'm gonna just do highlights here. There's some stuff that I could mention, but I think Ghostwire Tokyo coming out supposedly in the first half of this year for PS5. This is a Bethesda game, but they made a deal before they got bought out by Microsoft, so this game is going to be exclusive to the PlayStation 5. This is from the studio that made This is from... What the fuck did they... Tango made what? The Evil Within. This is the same developer that made Evil Within, right? I need to see like more. I need to see like more of that game. God of War Ragnarok. This is, other than Elden Ring, probably my most anticipated. Probably this for a lot of people, their most anticipated game of this year. I do think I'm not as convinced as Starfield, but I do think God of War Ragnarok is gonna hit this year. I do think there's also a chance that they could punt it to 2023, but I'm more certain that they won't. And I think it's going to be fantastic. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Yes, Gotham Knights Sparks. I've been thinking about Gotham Knights because I've been looking at this list, obviously getting prepped for the Fantasy League, thinking about the games coming out in 2022. I think Gotham Knights is going to be great. And not great in like a game great, not like this is one of the best games of the year, but like this is a really good, I mean, obviously it's not Batman, but it's a good Batman game. And like, you know, I think there's a lot of promise. Fingers crossed. And, but if it's, I might just like have a lot of fun with that game, hopefully. Couldn't give a fuck about Hogwarts Legacy. All of the shit from J.K. Rowling has completely killed any interest, and I was never really a huge Harry Potter fan to begin with. But I remember seeing leaked shit from ages ago of this game, and like thinking like, oh, this could be really cool actually. Like I might get it, and then that was years before. I mean, obviously, like there's been stuff about J.K. Rowling being a TERF for like forever. If you don't know what TERF means, it means trans exclusionary radical feminists. It basically means people that consider themselves feminist to the point that trans women don't exist and that trans women are not actually women, which is really fucked up, and like fuck J.K. Rowling. So yes, my excitement for Hogwarts Legacy is dead, and I'm glad, because honestly, too many other games to play in this life. All right, here we go. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild sequel. What is there to be said about this game? First question, will it come out in 2022? I feel like it's a toss-up. I do not lean one way or the other. I feel like I'm 50-50. If you put a gun to my head, yes. But also COVID makes things complicated. This isn't like just general. I feel like the delays are really bad now because of COVID, and like things are getting pushed, you know, because they never announced when it was going to be released, right? They never gave it a date before they said 2022. So it's not like it was meant to come out in 2021, then 2022. Like, I know we've heard about this game for a long time, and we saw shit from years ago. E3 2019 is the first glimpse of this. But it was an early development. Obviously, I think a lot of Nintendo has been rocked by COVID. Like, they were just not able, a lot of Eastern developers were not able to adapt to workers' home as quickly, I think, it seems, as Western developers. Just, I think, from a lot of different standpoints, infrastructure plus business differences between Eastern, and Western companies. So honestly, this is why I'm 50-50. I think that it will, but I also think that if there's any game that's going to get delayed, it's going to be this one of the big games. But I'm excited to play it. Who's not? Yeah, exactly. All right. I do not give a fuck about the Lord of the Rings Gollum. Just do not give a fuck about that. And if you don't know what that is, it's a Lord of the Rings game where you play as Gollum. And like, is there anything less sexy than that? Okay, next game. Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, sequel to Battle Kingdom, or whatever it's called, Kingdom Battles. Very excited to play this one. Loved the first Mario plus Rabbids, and I think this is going to be more of the same, and it's going to be great. Marvel's Midnight Suns, the game from the not SOCOM, what is it? XCOM developers. So this is a tactics game, right? Tactical role-playing Marvel game. It's Midnight Suns, which means it's like Blade and like Ghost Rider and shit, but they do have Iron Man and Cap and Wolverine, but it's all the like occult characters. So I think that's really interesting. I think this is an interesting game. I think it's, you know, better than I think there's a lot of things that make this really interesting. So we'll see. It was meant to come out in March, been delayed to second half of 2022. We'll see what happens. Yeah, it could. I don't mind the rabbits or at least I don't remember not minding the rabbits or whatever. Open Roads, a game from Annapurna. Who's the starring? Kerry Russell and Caitlin Dever. Oh, who was in Booksmart. This is like one of those, I think, premier indie games that'll probably get a lot of love. And I will probably enjoy it because I think it's got a big, like, True Colors vibe. You know, Life is Strange vibe. And I love Life is Strange. Another indie, Oxenfree 2. Love Oxenfree. Played it on an iPad. Really great kind of Stranger Things vibe. It's 2D, art's really cool. And, yeah. Very excited for that. Prince of Persia. I forgot about this. Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remake. Was this meant to come out beginning of last year, actually? Hang on. Oh my god, this was scheduled to release last January. And then it was pushed to 18th of March last year. Yeah, and then they pushed it to March of last year, and then they just said, we are delaying this indefinitely. It doesn't have a new date. They didn't even say that they were going to release it in 2022. They just said, we're just going to, and we haven't heard anything about that game. That is nuts. So I do not think this is going to be good. Or maybe they got the time it needs and it is good. Who knows? I feel like the former is more likely than the latter. We've got Redfall. This is the game from Arcane. Specifically the team that made Prey, not the people that made Dishonored or Deathloop. This is a multiplayer. I think it's a first-person shooter. It might be third-person. Yeah, they say it's an action-adventure game, so I think it's third-person. Multiplayer shooter, and it is a vampire. You're vampire hunters. Which sounds cool, and Prey has a lot. There's a lot of it like in Prey. I didn't really grasp the game myself, like really get into the game myself. But there's I think this could be really cool, and I think I'm excited to hit more. That's all I'm gonna say. Somerville. This game is from one of the former developers of Playdead. Yes. So this is from a new developer called Jumpship. One of the co-founders of Jumpship used to co-founded Playdead, who made Limbo and Inside. So it is a very spiritual successor. It's the same kind of gameplay, yeah, he just made this new studio and basically decided to make another game in that vein. Very excited for this. This is like the indie game I'm most excited about this year, I think. So that's awesome. And it is indie. They're publishing it themselves, which is cool. I'm very excited for that. Splatoon, Sonic Frontiers. Not interested. Google says FPS. We'll see. I don't think we've seen gameplay, so maybe they said FPS at one point, but Sonic Frontiers, couldn't give a fuck. Splatoon 3, I think that is honestly less likely to come out this year. Again, I don't think they've even said it's coming out in 2022. I think it's more likely that Breath of the Wild comes out this year than Splatoon 3. I think Nintendo. Okay, no, I'm not gonna do a Starfield level bet where I'm like, I'll eat my shoe or whatever, but I think what will happen is Splatoon 3 will get a date for 2022, it will get delayed to 2023, and it will get delayed to early 2023, like Pokemon Arceus time, so January of next year. So I think when that game will ultimately come out, maybe, January to March, the first couple of months. to April. Could be wrong, but this is just based on feelings, which we all know are the most important thing and the most true and correct thing in the world. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. This is Rocksteady's newest game. It is in the Batman Arkhamverse, and it is you playing as the Suicide Squad, which is King Shark, Boomerang, Harley Quinn, and Deadshot. Or is it Deathstroke? No, it's Deadshot, right? Deathstroke. I think this game comes out. I think it will be very good. And I think that some people are a little hesitant, but I think that it's going to be very good. And I think people will like it. I think I will like it. And I think there will be talk about whether it is Game of the Year. I'm very bullish on this being good. And people being surprised. Because I think that's the thing. I think that people are really... Obviously, Arkham Knight. People have their feelings about that game. I really liked it, and I thought it had the best story out of all of the Arkham games. Obviously, people didn't like certain aspects of it. The Batmobile, we understand. But I think, like, people are... It's not like Arkham Knight was this game that universally everyone loved. Right? It was kind of them taking a step, and I think it puts them in a position, and then also this is a Suicide Squad game. Like, what the... And it's like a very similar formula to Gotham Knights, right? Is it a gas? Is it a games as a service? I don't think it's like, you know, it's not like Avengers, right? So it doesn't have, hopefully doesn't have those issues. But I just think that, like, there's a couple of things setting this up for people to be tepid. That's not true at all. Batman kills. Batman has killed for so long. Like, Batman has killed so many people in every fucking iteration of Batman. Nolan was really one of the few creators to actually make that a thing about his Batman. But, like, if you watch, like, the Tim Burton Batman that a lot of people were pointing to as, like, their touchstone for Batman doesn't kill, that guy blows up an entire warehouse of people in the first fucking Batman 89 or whatever. I do not think that a defining trait about Batman has to be that he doesn't kill. In fact, honestly, I think that him crossing that line when he feels like he can cross that line is interesting. And I think it's more interesting than him not killing. But then it does open to the whole thing of like, well, you should have shot Joker in the head. Anyway, Suicide Squad, I think people's expectations are lower than if this was another Batman game and Arkham Knight had been a slam dunk for people. So I just think that, like, they're going to kill it and people are not expecting that. And therefore people will be like, this is the greatest game ever made. And R.I.P. Batfleck. I do like Ben Affleck as Batman, but I am very excited for The Batman, starring the Robert Pattinson. We've only got a few more questions. I'm not interested in Stray the cat game. Don't give a fuck. I know people are very excited about that. What's next? Temtem is coming to something other, supposedly, than PC. That is the Pokemon ripoff MMO, I think. Coming to Switch, PS5, Xbox Series X. Man, not coming to previous generations, so I don't know how that Switch version is going to run. But previous generations. I might check it. If the Temtem, like, everyone loves Temtem, if that whole wave comes back, your boy might check it out. But if it's just like Temtem's out, I'm not, you know, it has to have the cultural, like, aspect to it, I think, for me to be interested. And I think that's it. Warhammer 40k Darktide, interested in. Because I talked to the guy who is writing it, and I actually was like, oh, this isn't interesting the way you're attacking this, so we'll see. Witcher 3 is getting a next-gen update, and I'm actually more excited for the Witcher 3 update, I think, than Cyberpunk. Because Tuna wants to play it, and I think we're going to try and jump into it when the next generation together and just kind of compare and contrast. Do not expect to beat Witcher 3. it'll be like my 4th attempt trying to play through Witcher 3. But I'm just excited. I really liked season 2 of the show, and so I'm just really excited to... I think I'm just like way more familiar with the world and everything, and I'm really attached to these characters now because of the show. And so I think that I will feel differently, but I also think there will be a ton of shit. There's obviously a ton of shit coming out this year that I'm interested in playing. So again, it kind of just depends when it drops, what the vibes are.